Hey, welcome to the branding experience. We are now in week 11 for the regular semesters, but if you are again in a quad semester, you are now in week six. You are in week 6. Um, so today we'll get right into it. So today's plan, we are going to look at a SWOT analysis and what that entails, and we'll really look at the big difference. This is a common acronym that is used many times in branding and marketing and business. So this is something you're going to use pretty much for the rest of your life. And we're going to look at how we apply it to ourselves and doing a self-analysis. We'll talk about first impressions and some of the most important things about it. I think I have a video with regards to that. And then we'll talk up a quick little summary and watch the video. So let's get right to it. So, what is a SWOT analysis? Well, first of all, let's look at what to define it. So the S and W, this one here and here, are known as strengths and weaknesses. The O and T stand for opportunities and threats. So we need to first define this a little bit better, because a lot of people, when they get into it, the threats are usually not an issue, and the strengths are usually not an issue. Where it gets confusing is these two, weaknesses and opportunities. And the way to determine the difference between them is to find them from internal factors versus external factors. So what I want to ask yourself, so if something comes up, you need to ask yourself, first of all, is it internal or external? Well, let's define that a little bit better. So when something is internal, just something of it, like yourself, or in a business, it's inside the four walls or inside yourself, you can control internal. You can control, what's a T? All the variables. However, when it's external, think of outside, external, outside. Control, not. You can't control. So these are variables that you can't control. So when we're looking at a business, if we're looking at a strength, it might be like some of the examples here. It may talk about leading brands, distribution channels, product, it could be the management. All those would be strengths. And then we say we want to look at these and see if they're weaknesses. It could be the same thing, but they have to be things that you can control. So like management, can we control management? Yes, we can hire, we can fire someone. Is it our branding? Is it our marketing? Can we control that? Yes, we can control that. Is there something new opening up, a new market opening up? Is that something we can control? No. So that would be an opportunity, right? Because it's something that is beyond our control. So I also like using this scenario that when you're looking about strengths and weaknesses, these are things inside the four walls or inside yourself. Okay, everything inside. When you're looking at opportunities and threats, it's everything outside. Okay, and then it's really easy to determine. Once you've determined whether it's something that's inside, something that you can control, or internal, or it's something that's external, something outside, then it's simple. Then you just define, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? So if it's internal and something's a good thing, it's probably a strength. If it's a bad thing, then it's a weakness. Okay? And if it's an external thing, is it good? Then it's an opportunity. And if it's a bad thing, it's a threat. Now, obviously, whenever there's these negative categories, it's always a good way to look at it, you usually want to turn threats into opportunities, and you want to turn your weaknesses into strengths. Now, when we're looking at these and comparing it to yourself or personal branding, you can control these. You can control. So how do you turn a weakness? Well, a lot of it is learning by yourself. taking the initiative and making it happen, and then you can turn them into strength. So practice, 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 right? So that's really what we're looking at when we look at a SWOT analysis and we're looking at it ourselves, is we're looking at things that we can change, right? Which we can. We can change internal factors. There's things we can control. But then there's external things we can't control. So these external threats, we can either two things. We can either turn them into opportunities if we can. But if we can't, from a personal standpoint, as a business, absolutely it's something we would need to address. But from an external thing, let's not worry about it. Let's not burn our energy. Let's worry about our strengths and look at our opportunities. And that's really when we're doing a SWOT analysis on ourselves, we need to focus on. All right. So the first question you're going to ask yourself, is it internal versus external? If it's a good thing, it's a SWOT. If it's a bad thing, it's a weakness. If it's external, something you can't control, then is it a good thing? Yes, it's an opportunity. If it's a bad thing, it's a threat. All right. All right, let's move on. I have a quick little video. We're going to talk about first impressions. This is a good little video that I found. And we'll talk about it in the end.
12 things that ruin a first impression immediately. Scientists have proven that we form our first impression about someone within the first 7 seconds of meeting them. And there are definitely certain factors that can instantly make or break it. Are you ready to find out what you should and shouldn't do in order to leave a good first impression on other people? Then keep on watching. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you'll always be the first to see all our new videos.
Everyone's got a plug.
Number 12, a weak handshake. This point couldn't be more important for anyone with an upcoming job interview. A flimsy handshake can be a real first impression killer. In his research, psychologist William F. Chaplin found that people with a weak handshake are instantly judged as being shy, anxious, uninterested, or even completely incompetent. That's definitely not how you want others to see you, is it? Another common mistake people make is holding someone's hand for too long. Awkward. If you're going to give the right impression of confidence and capability, remember to grip the other person's hand firmly and for no longer than 2 seconds. That'll put you on the road to success. Number 11, keeping your hands in the wrong position. If you're ever sitting in front of a group of people, whether it be at a business meeting or some conference, you've got to be mindful of where you keep your hands. You can put them on your lap, but never keep them in your pockets, because this gives the impression that you're hiding something. If you place your hands on the table, don't squeeze them too tightly, or lay them flat with your palms down. This makes people feel like you want to control them. Also, don't forget about the role that culture plays here. While gently folding your hands on the table is totally okay in the Western world, this position is considered rude in Japan and India. Do your research on the customs and culture before you visit another country. This will help you avoid any uncomfortable situations. Number 10, chewing gum. You've got to admit that it's incredibly annoying and distracting when you're talking to someone and they're chomping on a piece of gum. Put this irritating behavior into a formal situation or a first-time encounter with someone, and it becomes even more inappropriate. Chewing on gum makes you look immature, self-centered, and somewhat lowbrow. So don't even think about it for a job interview. You want to show your best qualities, not your indifference towards your potential employer. On the flip side, a new study has found that in casual situations, people chewing gum are usually perceived as more friendly and approachable. So be careful with this one. It can either help or hurt you. Number 9, avoiding eye contact. Eye contact has an unbelievably powerful influence on how we view someone. A 2007 study showed that people who maintain eye contact during a conversation are often seen as more confident, attentive, intelligent, and trustworthy. People that avoid eye contact, on the other hand, are viewed as less sincere, more anxious, and even unattractive. It doesn't mean you have to stare people down like a creep. Just don't be afraid to lock eyes with another person from time to time instead of constantly looking around, especially when you meet them for the first time. Number 8, playing with your hair. Statistics show that women touch their hair up to 18 times a day. That's fine if you're fixing it in the mirror, but if you play with your hair while talking to someone, you could be sending them the wrong message. First off, they might think you're flirting with them. But more importantly, a person who toys with their hair during a conversation looks unconfident, anxious, and uncomfortable. Traits that are especially undesirable in official situations. And when playing with your hair becomes excessively repetitive, it can even be a sign of OCD. If you tend to do this when you're nervous, try to kick this habit. It'll do you and your hair a lot of good. Number 7, picking the wrong conversation topics. In order to avoid the dreaded awkward silence, a lot of people are ready to talk about anything with someone they've just met. But you never know what subjects can make someone feel uncomfortable. So it's better to play it safe and avoid the general taboo topics out there. They include health problems, money, religion, politics, or personal problems and complaints. Try not to focus the conversation only on yourself and your issues. That's what therapists are for. It's always a good idea to be attentive to your conversation partner. A good listener is always highly appreciated. Number 6, invading someone's personal space. Just as there are certain lines you shouldn't cross when it comes to conversation topics, the same goes for personal space. Experts put it simply: the space between you and another person depends on your relationship and the situation. There's a certain distance for close friends and family, one for informal conversations and another for formal interactions. When it comes to meeting someone for the first time, keep a minimum of 4 feet between the two of you. If you stand too close to them, you may come off as aggressive. But if you stand too far away, you seem uninterested. Just try to find a happy medium and stick to it. Number 5, making distracting noises. We've all been in a room with someone who constantly taps their foot or fingers or drums their pen on the desk. And if you do any of these things, you're not only annoying everyone, no offense, you're also giving them the wrong impression about you. Tapping can indicate nervousness, irritation, or impatience. People might even think that you're purposely trying to irritate others or draw attention to yourself. And while cracking your knuckles can help relieve stress, it's one of the most annoying sounds according to a survey by the New York Times. It can be nearly impossible to control nervous tapping, but you have to try, especially during important meetings or presentations. Number 4, constantly checking your phone. In the age of social media and 24/7 access to the internet, we've become addicted to our gadgets. In fact, an Android app called Lock It collected information and found that the average person checks their phone 110 times a day. Even if you're just checking the time on your screen, it comes off as extremely impolite when you do it during a conversation. The other person gets the impression that they're boring you, and you seem to have better things to do. A study from the University of Essex showed that even just having one's phone on the table next to them reduces a conversation's quality and the participant's engagement. So leave it in your bag or in your pocket. Period.
Shut it off.
Number 3, forgetting people's names. Probably the most embarrassing thing you can do when you see someone is to forget their name. And it's especially humiliating if they remember yours. To steer clear of this awkward situation, get into the habit of immediately repeating someone's name after you've been introduced, like, "Hi Anne, nice to meet you." Justifying this faux pas with excuses about having a bad memory or being terrible with names won't cut it. And when it does happen, just play it cool and try to avoid using phrases where you have to name the other person. That should do the trick. Number 2, being late. While your best friend might kid you that you're always so fashionably late, there's nothing to joke about it when it comes to first impressions and being tardy. Running late to a meeting with people you don't know or have a formal relationship with will shed a guaranteed negative light on you. You'll seem like an unreliable and unorganized person that doesn't respect people enough to value their time. Nothing good about any of that. So if you don't want that mess to be the way people view you, don't be late. It's that easy. Leave your house in enough time so that you don't have to run to your meeting. You'll be all disheveled and unfocused, and that looks bad too. There are tons of online resources to learn better time management skills, so make use of them. Number 1. The wrong attire. Whether we like it or not, people do judge a book by its cover. And remember, they do it within 7 seconds of setting eyes on us. There's not much you can say within this time, which proves that a lot of assumptions people make are based purely off of looks. In fact, statistics claim that 55% of the first impression is based on appearance. What's more, studies show that your height, weight, hair color, and makeup can even influence the size of your paycheck. So if you're meeting someone for the very first time, again, especially in more formal situations, try to be conservative in your choice of clothing. Be polished, and don't use heavy perfume or tons of makeup. You don't have to dress to the nines or anything, just look neat and well put together. What else do you think can ruin a first impression? Tell us in the comment section below. Don't forget to...
Okay. So there's a few things. I mean, there's lots of good suggestions in there. The phone one is a big one. Make sure you shut it off. Use your airplane mode if you need to. That's always a good one. Another thing is about running late. Running late is a biggie. It's okay that if you are running late, that you contact the person ahead of time. If there's the slight inkling that something's come up, because it happens sometimes. You get in traffic and you leave early, or it depends on the wintertime. There's things that are outside of your control. Make sure before you have that interview that you have a contact name or number so I can contact you in case any emergencies arise. That's always a good assurance and shows respect. If someone shows up late, it's a huge ding on your first impression. Okay, so always have that with you so that if something does kind of scramble, or if there's an email, try and have a phone number so that you can contact someone right away in case something comes up. That's always a good tip. There's a few others that I have that we can look at. When we're taking notes, this is always a good one. It's a good little tip. I always like taking notes. I just like to get facts and figures when we're talking about them. I don't forget. So that gives you a sense of interest and looking very professional. So it's nice to have something, nice booklet or something, not a scrap piece of paper, but a nice little book or something. And then you can make notes. Direct eye contact, obviously, like we talked about in the video, is good. It helps telling the truth, gives that impression that you're listening. Sitting forward in the chair, it looks like you're interested. Okay, not slacking, not leaning back, not kind of just hunched over. None of this, right? We're enthusiastic. We're interested. We're sitting up straight, right? Proper posture, just like you would at a dinner table. Crossing arms on a chest. This motion here. People just sit back. It does give a very defensive feeling about it, where I disagree. So you want to be open, so hands gently on the table so you can engage the person better and doesn't give that negative connotation about it. Fidgeting. That's a common one. And obviously, when you fidget, it gives a sign of being nervous. So we want to try to avoid that. I sometimes would have a pen in my hand because if I'm taking notes, it gives me something to focus on, right? Looking away often. So looking away, just like making eye contact. If you're looking away too much, it's like you're not paying attention. So we want to try and so we can focus forward. Maybe if you're coughing, laughing, shifting, right? Makes you just kind of uncomfortable situation. Makes the person who's doing the interview uncomfortable. And if you're making that person uncomfortable, it's a good chance that the interview is not going to go too well. And slouching, same thing with sitting up forward in the chair. You don't want to slouch because you seem that you're unmotivated, really don't want to be there, or yawning, that kind of thing. It's not things that you really want to take forward, right? Okay. That's it for today. So let's look at quickly the homework. There wasn't much. We're getting close to the end of the semester, so the videos become a little bit shorter because we know there's lots more on your plate. But we do have an assignment. So this week we're going to review week 11 checklists, anything under there that you make sure you haven't missed, and you're going to complete quiz number 7. That's it for this week. and we'll watch the next video down here when we'll start wrapping up, and another video down there. And stay safe, guys, and we'll see you next video.